Hi, welcome back to How to Happiness. At the moment we're talking about inner child, and we've been doing some work in connecting with our inner child and learning what it is that they've got to tell us about, the things that they're frightened of, the worries that they have, the needs that they have, and we've been communicating with them on a one-to-one level in a kind of meditation or visualization so that we can help to soothe them and get our connection going with them. What I'd like to talk about in this next section is how to bring those things that we've learnt in that area through our visualization into our real life, how we can use what we've learnt to make a difference in the way that we live, and therefore, as usual, start working and heading towards greater happiness in our lives. So just by connecting with our inner child is going to make a difference for us. We're going to probably feel a little more calmer, a little more settled, a little more, we might make choices and things that are starting to protect and take care of ourselves and parent ourselves. In this section, however, what I wanted to talk to you about is how to bring all of that into our lives and to use those tools that we've been picking up along the way. In that earlier section, we talked about soothing, that is, self-talk that makes us feel a little better about our anxieties, where we speak to ourselves like a parent might speak to a child who is worried or concerned about something or in need of something that they're not getting. Now, soothing is a wonderful tool and something perhaps we should really have learnt as children from our own parents, as they spoke to us in these soothing ways to teach us how to deal with our emotions and our feelings, our fears and our needs and hurts. However, our parents probably weren't taught either. So they haven't taught it to us, and now we're adults and we still haven't learnt it. But we've started to learn that now from the last video. And what I want to do is bring that soothing idea into our everyday life so that we can use it on ourselves when stuff comes up for us and help us to deal with them. So soothing is a kind of way of taking care of our emotions, acknowledging them, recognizing them, and coping with them. So that might, I'll give you an example. When I first learned about soothing, I was still flying, and I used to get quite uncomfortable and anxious when I was strapped into my jump seat, and we weren't allowed to leave our jump seat at this stage, most likely on landing. And I would hear a child crying or a baby, and I know that if I'd been able to get up, I would have certainly gone to the child to help the parent deal with whatever was going on, particularly if it was about landing, which quite often can hurt children's ears with the pressure that builds up. However, I wasn't allowed to leave my seat, so I'd be really quite anxious about this child that I could hear. So once I learnt about soothing, which I did through inner child work and things, I would be able then to be able to sit in my jump seat and remind myself that their mum is there, they're being taken care of, we'll be on the ground soon and everything will be fine. And nobody dies from sore ears. It can hurt, but as soon as we're on the ground, it'll be fine. And all of those things were able to calm me down so that I could let go of that anxiety that I was holding. So that's just one example of how soothing can help you when you're worried about something, when you're anxious about something. You can use soothing to remind yourself that it'll be okay. This situation comes up all the time, and we always deal with it, and it's going to be fine this time as well. Remembering that these things never last terribly long, and tomorrow you won't hardly even remember what you were worried about, so you can let those things go. The needs and wants, hurts, you can let yourself know that you're taking care of yourself now. it's okay, we're going to try and fix those things in the future, you're looking out for them, all of those sort of things. So soothing is a great way of helping you deal with emotions that come up and spring on you and kind of take you over. So that's one of the things that I want you to take into this next week of exercises as we look out for emotions and anxieties and wants and needs that our inner child brings forth for us in all different sorts of situations. It can be at school, you might be at school, it could be at work, at home, dealing with your family, having the Sunday dinner with the big family. All sorts of stuff comes up for all different reasons. So to be able to soothe yourself, recognize those feelings, which is what we sort of learnt in that first video, is about seeing the emotions and feeling where they are, recognizing that we have them, and then soothing and dealing with them in the best way that we can to sort of parent ourselves and take care of ourselves so that we can calm. And then if something needs to be done, then we can do it from a calm place, not a overreactive place or a panic place. So we're trying to learn to act from, rather than panic and worry and anger, that we'll be starting to react, choose our responses rather than let the responses just take us over. So I hope that one's going to help, and we're going to do some more of that during this week as our next exercise. So what I'm hoping that we're going to do this week to follow on from what we started last week is to acknowledge and recognize those feelings that have come up for our inner child, that we've learned about through connecting with our inner child, and start to recognize those feelings coming up in our day-to-day lives, where they come up, what they feel like, where they are, and recognize that inner child in us that is quite active, that we might not have been aware of before. And then to bring our soothing and our parenting in. Now, not just with the soothing, but what we also want to start to do is to remember that we've promised ourselves that we're going to start becoming our own parents. We're going to parent ourselves. We're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to protect ourselves if we need to be. Now, one of the sections that we spoke about before is with boundaries. So as a parent to ourselves, we may need to remind ourselves that we could set some boundaries. If something is making us feel really uncomfortable, we can set some boundaries. We can just move out of that situation. We could avoid that situation for a while until we can cope with it. Or we could try to use the river scene and being the rock and letting whatever that negativity or whatever that bad stuff is just flow past us and protect ourselves. So as parents, that's what we're doing for ourselves. We're protecting ourselves. We're trying to guide ourselves into a place of health and happiness. So remembering those things that we want to do and then doing them when we start to feel issues come up for us. Another area that I'd like to mention that can sometimes cause a bit of anxiety, and I guess it's a little bit like that example that I gave of the babies crying and my getting quite overwhelmed with anxiety about these children crying. And very often we can get involved in other people's emotions to the point where they really quite affect us poorly. Now, I have lots of examples and they all involve my children. Now, children are just out there, they've got so much emotions, they don't know how to handle them, and they're loud and it's in your face. It's very hard to avoid. So, and sometimes it's not just the emotions, but especially with children, some of the things that they have to go through, that they've got to learn, that they've got to, just experience. Things going on at school that they're not enjoying, all that sort of stuff. And it can be very easy to get ourselves completely involved in those emotions that are somebody else's, in fact. Even if they are your children's, they're still your children's and they're not yours. And one of the things that I always try to remember, I've learnt to come, really, it's quite early, recent thing that I've learnt, is to think that everybody has their journey. I had my journey and it was pretty bumpy, but how much have I learnt? I've learnt so much from all of those bumps and all of those experiences. I wouldn't give one of them up, no matter how awful they were, in order to be here now talking to you, because I've learnt so much about how to be happy. So I don't want them to go away. And so my children have a right to their bumps as well. And so if I can try to think that's their journey, that's what they need to go through, that is the stuff that, not to not help them, but not to get so involved that you've become quite overwhelmed yourself. So that's another thing that you might remember. Help yourself to soothe yourself when those sort of things come up. That's their journey. You know, you can help, you can be sympathetic, but trying not to get completely involved in their emotions as well. Let your inner child become completely overwhelmed by these emotions that can come up. Now, another thing that your parenting might remind your inner child about when it's anxious and things is that life tool that is on our website. If you haven't checked it out, go there, put your name in and grab the life tool. It is such a useful item. Calm yourself down, soothe yourself, and then get to work on finding a solution to whatever is your problem at that time, okay? It's going to help you out, and you're always going to have it to be able to help in any situation that comes up that you're not sure what to do or how to fix. Okay, so great. Now, I'm going to get going now because I don't want it to be too long, and it always is. Don't forget to put your comments in. Don't forget to check out the exercise, which is to look out for that inner child in all that goes on during your week, and to then start parenting yourself and taking care of yourself and using some of the tools that we've already talked about. And if you haven't done them, perhaps go back and check out the website for some other tools that are going to help you parent yourself, and the ones, of course, that are upcoming. All right, have a great week. Enjoy.